NSQF by design is supposed to run from 5 o'clock in the evening to 9, 10 o'clock in the evening. It's not that NSQF cannot run in the day. It can. But the targeted audience is not that. Okay? Now, you will be using the same resources as the college has. So, you are optimizing the resources. And it is quite possible that depending on the sector you choose, a certain model skill center will have to be developed in that college. Some polytechnics may have, the engineering colleges may have, but the rest of the colleges may have to create some center, skill center. Now, what skill center they will develop is depending on what sector they propose to give skills in. For example, I won't expect an arts college to come and say that we will give automobile skills. You leave that to the technical guys. If somebody comes and says, I want to run an entertainment sector, we will say the polytechnic should desist from doing that. And so on. So sectors, all that can be done. Some MOUs were signed and UGC and ASCC is the American Association for Community Colleges. That's it. And the regulations for approval of an institute to run certain sectors, specialization, all those regulations are in place. Which means the entire framework is ready from 15-16 this academic year. I believe many of you should start this program. Money will come. There is a lot of money available. But if somebody says, starts with the premise that let the money come, then I will start, nothing will happen. It's a win-win which you need to work out. What is the rationale? I said more than 25 million dropout between all that. Mere skills is not widely accepted, which I said. Skills are terminal in nature. Now this is a major problem area. If I am trained to become a welder, I can start off with maybe MS welding, stainless steel welding, then I can graduate on to become a TIG welder, MIG welder, plasma welder. You know, plasma welders are probably the highest paid class in this world. But it's a highly difficult environment to work in and a very risky job. But still, you need to train in order to become that, and you also need to get at those training centers and so on. But at the end of the day, you are still a welder. And for the rest of my life, until my retirement, I am a welder. If I am a machinist, for the entire career, I am a machinist. So they are terminal in nature unless you retrain, get into some other area, which means you are creating another career for yourself. Moving out from education into politics, into something else. It's as difficult as that. I create a career as a welder, and then I find that after 10 years I don't want to do this, I don't have anything else. So they are terminal in nature. Degree diplomas do not guarantee jobs. In fact, the fundamental proposition is no university guarantees any job. They guarantee the education, the ability to analyze, the ability to think, but we have created many other conditions over that. Current cafeteria courses are not very popular because I told you why they are not popular. Current education is very expensive, and current education operates only in structured fashion. You go to arts, do 3 years, then you get a BA, then 2 years, you get an MA, like that. Very, very structured. Some movement is possible, but not very. Now, like I said, all vocational education is sector specific. The skills that I get in automobile may not be useful in construction, may not be useful in entertainment, and so on. So these are the sectors that we have identified. By no means this is the end in all. New sectors can emerge. There is an Australian standard to define even sectors. What is a sector? So these are the sectors: IT-enabled services, telecommunications, media, entertainment, hospitality. These are all the sectors that we have defined when I was in university. Now these sectors, each sector has specializations. For example, in the automobile sector, I can become a vehicle specialist. I can become an engine specialist. I can become a two-wheeler specialist. I can become a four-wheeler specialist, and so on. So there are specializations within that. For example, in the entertainment sector, I can become a photography expert. I can become an actor, and so on. Or I can become a backstage operations expert. I can become an event manager. So on. So there are different areas within a certain sector. Now this happens to be the guiding factor as far as sectors are defined. Now what is this framework? We'll see if you read from bottoms up. What happens is, the first certificate, I said, is the 9th standard. You need to implement this in the school system so that you get a feeder mechanism in the colleges. So first is the 9th standard, second is the 10th standard, third is the 11th standard of level 3 certification, level 4 is 12th, level 5 is first year, second year, third year, all that. Right? So level 7 becomes the graduation or B1. Okay? Now there is one fundamental problem area. As academicians, we all understand that any equivalence can be created based on the credits. If I have a completely skill framework, I can look at only skills and no education, right? Of higher order skills as I move along. And if I say that I am teaching 3,000 hours of skills, and if I go to a university and tell them I teach 3,000 hours of skills in so and so sector, you make this equivalent to a degree. No university will agree to this. No vice chancellor will say this is fine. Okay? You have to go back, tell them that in the conventional, in the formal system, you have so many credits. This NSQF has so many credits, both are almost similar. Then there is a point of discussion further and acceptance which happens. So the only form of currency is the credit. So therefore, credits is something that is extremely important here. Now, in order to match those credits ultimately translate into number of contact hours and things like that. Contact, non-contact, all that. So, on a flat basis, what we are saying is, every certificate is about 1,000 hours of teaching level. Now, what is this 1,000? Where did this 1,000 come from? Even today, what you teach in a conventional classroom is about 1,000 hours per year, 500 hours per semester. It could vary 450, 400, nothing sacrosanct, but roughly 1,000 hours per year. So which means about 500 hours per. Even your semester system, if you look at it, works out to something around 450, 500 hours. Where did does 500 hours come from? 14, 15 weeks multiplied by so many hours, we will end up with 480 hours. So that's the starting point. Now that 500 hours or 1,000 hours needs to be judiciously separated as skill hours and education hours. some skill hours and some education hours. Some credits given to the skill hours, some credits given to these education hours. Add those two and you get some credits for the level, for that certificate level. What we have done is that education part, we have worked with CBSE curriculum and introduced CBSE curriculum as a part of level 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So what you find in the curriculum is completely available for skills and education for all those 15, 16 sectors that I have shown and about 80 specializations on the AICT portal. And even the hard copy is available in the AICT office. Right? For all those sectors, skills, you don't have to invent anything, you just have to pick up and start using. As a university, you can use your autonomy later, but at least to start off, you should start off this process immediately. Right? So the content is available. Now what happens to education part of the content from level 5, 6, 7? Now like education is broadly separated in terms of arts content, science content, commerce content and so on. These sectors also are in that category. For example, there are some cross-cutting sectors. For example, your banking, finance, retail, insurance, I can club with the commerce stream. Manufacturing, I can club with the science stream, and so on. So broadly, these also can be classified in that fashion. Some of those sectors can go into art, science, commerce, all that also happens. What is that mapping is also there on the AICT portal. So which one is associated with what is also there in the portal. Right? So level 5, 6, 7, we have formed a committee of vice chancellors and they have come out with the common content based on arts, based on science, based on commerce. And if in the skills area I take, let's say, entertainment, then the content would come from, for level 5, 6, 7 would come from the arts group. If I take construction, the level 5, 6, 7 would come from the science stream. For level 1, 2, 3, 4, it is a CBSE content. So you don't have to worry. By doing all this, what have we achieved? My level 2 is equivalent to 10th certification of the school board. My level 4 is equivalent to 12th certification of the school board. Okay? Which means that after level 2 certification, I can get into a polytechnic if I so wish. What is the eligibility to get into a polytechnic? It is 10. My level 2 certification is 10. So I get into a polytechnic. After level 4 of this NSQF, can I give joint entrance exam? I can, because my level 4 certification is equal to 12. Right? So if there is a new batch that has come into a school which is doing level 1, 2, 3, 4 of NSQF, there is nothing that he loses. Right? And why am I saying that you need a new division? There are two purposes of this NSQF. One is to enhance GER and the other is to enhance employability. GER does not enhance if you reappropriate the current numbers. You pull out one division of your current system and put into NSQF, your numbers are not altered, your numbers are still the same. So your GER is not going to change. So therefore, you need to create new divisions and bring in new students into this system. All those people who have dropped out because of the conventional education system and things like that. So you get new people into the system, so your GER will rise. Right? Current system expanding, adding more divisions in a science college, more divisions will only marginally raise the GER, but it has no potential to absorb the kind of numbers that we are talking about in sometimes to come. So you need a new paradigm, which is this. Okay? So, there are two cases here. When you do level 2 certification, you can get into a polytechnic, do level 3, 4, 5 and get a diploma. So we have already talked to the state boards of technical education, which are there in every state. We have written to the state governments and so on. Maharashtra government has adopted this, and in a polytechnic, level 5 will be treated as diploma, equivalent to diploma. Right? Diploma in vocational education. Then, or a student can do, for example, in your junior college, a student can do up to level 4. I'm talking about new division, right? Up to level 4, and then he gets into college, does level 5, 6, 7, and the university will give him bachelor's in vocation. No question asked because bachelor's vocational is now duly constituted. Right? So in your new division in your science college, level 5, 6, 7 will run. And after doing diploma at level 5 in a polytechnic, he can still go into your college for doing level 6 and 7 and the university will give him a degree. So all combinations are available here. Right? So a new student starting, let's say, from 9th standard will go through this path. Right? Now there are two requirements for us. If I assume that there is already a student who wants to get into this system, let's assume he has done 12th, maybe many years back, then this framework was not there. Today his option is only to get into either BA, BSc or whatever. Now what happens? And so on. Those kind of questions. Now to answer that, before that we will see this. Like I said, every certificate has certain number of hours for skills and certain number of hours for education. In order that he gets the pathway to get into formal education, we have not reduced the education content at level 1, 2, 3, 4. If you see this, vocational content is increasing and education is decreasing as the level increases. Okay. Now, this is the skill. The third column is the education. Now, that education is the CBSE content where the overlapping factors have been removed and the essential part of education is kept there so that he gets an option to get into formal education if he takes admission into this program. Okay. Now I said this is also not sacrosanct, some plus minus can always happen depending on the sector, specialization and all that. Now, if there is a person who has passed 12th in 2000, 14 years back, and has been working in an automobile garage for 14 years, now he says, you give me admission in this framework. Where does it fit in? The level 4 certification he already has for education, for the education part, right? Because he has a 12th certificate. Skills part, up to level 4, let's say 350, 700 and 1100 hours of training is what he requires. Incidentally, this vocational skill hours is given by a trainer. And that education part is given by a conventional college. Right? There is an MOU between these two fellows. So near your college there must be some trainer. That trainer and your college get into an MOU saying that the trainer will provide this number of hours at each certificate level and you will provide the education. Both are converted to credits in some format and this combined credit, based on that, a level certificate is given by the college. And such levels when accumulated, university or the board will give a diploma or a degree. Like even today, your first all years are not conducted by the university. Right? Only the final year is conducted by the university. I believe that's what happens in Bombay. Whatever that is. My point is, you can work that out with your university. The level, when the child passes level 4, he comes to you for level 5, 6, 7. 5, 6 the college can conduct, 7 the university can conduct. Those kind of things can be worked out between you and the university. Or if the university says, I want to conduct all, so be it. So, but the point is, the skills come from the trainer, education comes from the college. Okay. What is the fees charged? You decide between you and the trainer, because we don't want to come into all that, for the simple reason that skills attained for photography may cost different than skills required for welding or maybe carpentry. So it's until the system evolves, I'll tell you something more which addresses that problem as well. But currently, fees is to be decided between the trainer and the college. Now going back to that example, the fellow was passed 12 in 2000 and has been working in a garage. He doesn't have to go through any training. All that he has to do is go to the trainer, get his skills assessed, and if the trainer says that this fellow has level 4 skills, he already has education level 4, he simply moves to level 5 for admission. What have you done? You have recognized prior learning. You are not asking him to get into training again. Similarly, there are several traditional skills that we possess. So all that they have to do is go to that place, get the, in fact SNIT helped us in creating the jewelry design skill program here. Okay. So this is the basis. Now we have complete vertical and lateral mobility. Now for example, suppose somebody says, from vocational education I want to move into formal education, that we have already defined. Right? The education bridge is already created in that content. So you don't have to create any additional bridge. If you want to move from an outside world, from a formal world into vocational world, all that has to be checked is whether you have the skills at that certificate level. If you do not have, go to the trainer, acquire those skills. Education is not to be repeated. You will take that, add those, go to the next level. Right? Now all this content is also, we have vetted it through the NSQF, sector skill councils. So there is nothing left for us to reinvent, except if you are creating some new sector, new specialization.